for a second. You know what I'm saying? Inside Out. Yeah, that one. No, Osmosis fucking Jones. The fuck are you talking about? You know that that fucking cartoon with the guys inside the fucking guy? Osmosis fucking Jones. I haven't watched that movie in forever. Does that hold up, I wonder? Dude, Disney had like, was it, I don't know, I think it was like Disney Animation Studios. Whoever the fuck did like all those movies, man. There's a bunch of weird ass movies. Like we had multiple animated movies about ants like rising above the upper class like at the same time. We had ants, and then there was like a whole nother fucking ant movie that was like all like more like adult oriented. Yeah, Bug's Life and Ants, that's what it was. A Bug's Life. Dude, that video game sucked, dude. A Bug's Life, the video game sucked so much ass, man. That just triggered me, man. I remember that. That's the only thing I remember about Bug's Life is that video game fucking sucked, dude. I wasted a week of Blockbuster rentals on that shit. I could have gotten another game for a whole week and I wasted it on that fucking piece of shit. Low frame. Dude, that was my first time having like low frames on a console. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but in hindsight, dude, it was just fucking 10 frames per second ass. A Bug's Life, the video game, dude, for PlayStation 1 or some shit. Dude, that shit sucked so much, dude. It was literally just like hopping around on there was no fucking gameplay. Dude, it was like one of the first times that I ever experienced a fucking like a video game adaptation of a show or movie I'd watched. So my expectations were so high and I go into it and it's just so shit for like just such basic. Yeah, Toy Story the game in contrast was fucking amazing, dude. That shit was like open world as hell. You could literally go like from Andy's room, explore his entire house, go out to the yard, explore the fucking neighborhood in its entirety, dude. Like fly around his butt, dude. That was ridiculous, to be fair. That was ridiculous. The Lion King game. I've played the Lion King game briefly, very briefly. My mom was fucking this guy for like 2 weeks. My mom had a lot of she had a lot of boyfriends growing up, you know, like she was a single mom. Like I don't know, if you don't know the story, I don't know who my dad is. Like on my birth certificate, the spot for father is just blank. Like she doesn't know who he was for sure. Like she claims that it was this one dude who died before, like 2 months before I was born, and he was like a veteran, and he was this awesome guy. Turns out she just really wanted like money from the military because like if I was his kid, then she like gets money for me or something like that. So she was trying to press that. And for the first 12 years of my life, I believed that this dude was my dad. This like gravestone she took me to every once in a while. But I realized as an adult, she only took me there literally to like show me off to this like this dude's mom who came to visit him on like fucking Father's Day and Veterans Day and shit, to like basically like say, hey, look, this is his kid and shit. And then fucking it's a long story, all right? It's a long story. Hang on, they're coming in. That's part one. We'll get to part two in a minute. No, this is like legitimately for real, dude. I'm being 100% honest right now. This is like actually legit. Like she would take me to this like grave like on Father's Day because he had a son. He actually had like an actual son, like a verified son, right? So, oh god. Yeah, he had like a verified kid, and this dead guy's mom, his mom would bring his son to his tombstone every Father's Day. And my mom knew they were gonna be there, so she would take me there. And we would wait around in the car for hours, and I wondered why we were waiting in the cemetery for hours. And again, as an adult, I realized now why. Because we were waiting for this woman to show up, because then she could be like, oh yeah, his other son, remember? Like that. So now, so that I believe that dude to be my dad for the first like, pretty much like 14, 15 years of my life. And then one day when I was about like 16, I was like, after work, I worked nearby where the tombstone was, and I hadn't been there for fucking ever. And it was like, I think it was like Father's Day or something. Yeah, it was Father's Day. And we had just visited my wife's dad and stuff, and I was like feeling like, man, you know, like I don't have a dad, everybody else has a dad kind of shit for the first time in a while. I'm feeling all emotional and shit. So like I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go visit my dad's tombstone, man. It's the thing to do on Father's Day. It's the right thing to do. Like I'm not like super religious at this moment in time, but like it just seems like the thing to do. Pay respects and shit. I haven't been there in a while. I go to the fucking tombstone, dog. I go. Guess what I find out? The date of death was motherfucking like 11 and a half months before I was born, dog. I don't know if you know how it works, but it takes 9 months to make a fucking baby, dude. It takes 9 months to cook the juice. This motherfucker died 11 and a half months before I was born. The math doesn't fucking add up. At all, dog. I was born in February. The motherfucker like died like the previous November or some shit, whatever the math was. I mathed it and I was like, what the fuck? I mathed it and I was like, there's your fucking gameplay and your anecdote at once. I'm like that. That's why people watch me. They don't come here and watch me because I'm the best Siege player in the world. I can multitask, all right? So quit bitching. Anyway, so I don't know who my dad is. And I don't remember why I started talking about that, but that's part one of the story. If someone can remind me why I even started talking about this in the first place, I'll tell you the rest of it and why I started that tangent. Because that was the setup for something much bigger. Oh yeah, anyway, so since my mom was single, right? Since my mom was a single mother, right? Yeah, so she fucked like a lot of dudes, right? I feel like, in hindsight. Like, I know now that they were boyfriends she was banging and shit, right? Some of them were drug dealers. She was also banging for drugs, but like, it was mainly weed and stuff, but it turns out like she, you know, also got into meth for a short time and stuff. But, which I only recently learned that one. Like, I knew she was on weed. I found pills sometimes. I think I found what looked like cocaine once, but I wasn't sure. Like when I went through like their shit, because why wouldn't you? At that point, like all trust had been broken and shit.
10 seconds to insertion.
Like I tried drugs because my mom did drugs. You know what I'm saying? So like she introduced me to that whole thing. But that being said, she banged like, you know, I feel like it was a lot of dudes, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I lived with her for like 16 years, basically 15 years. I kind of like moved out really early on. So for 15 years of my life, she went through numerous boyfriends. So through the span of 15 years, I just remember dudes coming and going. A lot of them like short term, very fucking short term. She was dating this one guy who was super fucking religious. Like for the first time, like my mom, like labeled herself Christian, like just due to, you know, the region she was birthed for the most part. But she never like was like going to church, took us to church or anything like that. She was more like, hey, if you have questions, ask. Like, if you want to explore religion, go explore religion however the fuck you want, like, figure it out kind of thing. That was her take on it. But she started dating this one guy. Like, she normally dated, like, deadbeat kind of dudes, like, dudes who lived in trailers and played guitar. Which I thought was really cool, again, in hindsight. When I was 9, I was like, dude, my mom's fucking boyfriend. This guy is going to be my new dad. He has his own fucking house and he plays fucking guitar. And then, like, as an adult, I realized how lame the guy was. But this dude, though, is really religious. And I remember one time, like, him and my mom had only been, I had only seen him 2 fucking times in my life, 2 times. The first time he came over to our place, this time we went over to his place. And he had 2 kids, and they were younger than me and my sister. And me and my sister there, and like basically my mom went to go fuck this dude. And so they were playing NES, and the only game they had was Lion King. Like what? Anyway, so the Lion King game, my mom's fucking this really religious guy, and I remember that it's notoriously difficult. And I remember my sister said, my sister said like, she was like playing, she through the door, I was like, oh God. And he came over and he grabbed my sister really hard by the wrist. He's like, don't you ever take the Lord's name in vain. Something like that. I was like, what the fuck, dog? I was like, whoa. Like, and my mom wasn't there. It was just me, and it was me, my sister, and this fucking guy and his kids, and my mom was in the other room. She didn't see it, and so it's like this fucking Dr. Jekyll motherfucker. All of a sudden, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, that was the first time. I was like, what the fuck is that shit? Like, that's what it felt like. I was like 8, dude. I was like 8, and my sister was always like the bigger kid. She was 10, and she was scared, so I was scared. I was like, what the fuck, dog? It's like she just like sighed and said, God, oh, God. Like she didn't even say like God damn or anything. He just like, don't you ever, like, and he grabbed her wrist really hard and scared her. And then me and my sister told my mom about it, and then we heavily exaggerated the fuck out of it. Like we made it sound like extra bad. And then she broke up with him. But that's the only time I've ever played Lion King though on NES. That shit fucking sucked. God damn it! Fucking there you go, piece of shit. Anyway, yeah. That's my story about when the only time I ever had an encounter with Lion King. Kind of, you know, it's hard to ADHD a long story and play Siege half decent at the same time. So, you know, if someone wants to edit that down to a fucking 1-minute thing, then go for it. But otherwise, that's what you're getting. Fuck you.